So today, it's a wonderful day and the sun's bright and we've got a quartering crosswind. We're going to take the Kolb out and try to get some good footage of some short field takeoff and landings. I got a new cable, so we'll get some cockpit audio. That ought to be a little more interesting than just watching the plane and hearing the engine. So come along and I'll do a pre-flight. All right, so we always keep a battery maintainer on it. It really works well. Keeps the battery charged, and that way when you're ready to go flying, you got a good battery. So first off, we're gonna disconnect the power and disconnect the battery charger here. It's a quick connect that we've got set up. Just the standard plug that comes with it, quick connect. Okay, go ahead and check the batteries. Some of the other videos had the camera on the wing strut, and there's a little noise that goes along with that. These Tracy O'Brien brakes have a disc that floats, and so when you squeeze the brake it kind of makes a little noise. Upgraded this to the 4130 steel landing gear, and it's just superb. If you have a Kolb, especially one that's this heavy, you definitely want the 4130 landing gear. You don't want to have to worry about your landing gear if you go somewhere, go to a grass strip. So definitely recommend this. This is a game changer. When we first had it, we were scared to fly it, because if you come in and you have a bad landing, and I don't mean a crash landing, just a rough, not perfect landing, you were worried about your landing gear. The way this system is set up, the brake, the braking flange where the brake mechanism bolts to is actually welded onto the gear legs, and you have a solid axle, so there's no welding or anything on the axle. It's a lot stronger. This gear and these brakes has made this plane just like any other everyday flyer. I've read on the internet a lot of the websites that, the original gear did have a lot of issues. So this is the same gear that's on the Mark III Extra. So it is definitely a superior gear. Just looking at the leading edge here of the airplane, and try not to get too wobbly with the camera, but everything looks good on the leading edge. Just kind of walking around. Everything looks good. I'm going to check the ailerons. They all look good. The flaps. And check the linkages. Make sure they're all in place, and they are. All our lock nuts are in place. Just coming around checking the cables, checking the rudder. Trying not to get too shaky on the camera. And also, let's see if I can get that in there. We have an upgraded tail wheel, a full swivel tail wheel. It also, I think that's a 1 inch or 1.25 inches tail wheel. It's much better than the original little pizza cutter tail wheel that came on the plane. And you can also steer, fully steerable tail wheel. And if you want to make short turns, you can obviously see that it'll break loose and you can do turns. All right, just coming around here, checking everything. All right, do have a strobe light on this plane. Works really good. So let's see. All right, let's get around here. I'm going to demonstrate how to burp the Rotax 912. So in order to burp the engine, you want to, in order to check the oil, our oil reservoir is on the front of the engine, so we have to open the cap. I'm going to take the cap off, and then I'm just going to make sure the mags are off. We don't want no excitement, so not that kind of excitement. So I'm just going to rotate the prop until we should hear a gurgling. And it's a little cool today, so it usually takes about 10 turns. And there we go. There we go. I like to get that air out. Okay, I got a rag. Do it. Make sure that lid is secure. I'm just going to do a check of all the cables, make sure they're all in place. The connectors are there. We got our water reservoir up here, and it looks good. All the plugs are in place. I don't see any issue. All right, everything looks good. Our installation quality, very nice installation. And the wing. And we got this wing over here. Let's check our linkages here. Check the flaps. It's free. Okay. Let's finish our walk around. Check the ailerons. Wing is good. Leading edge is good. All right, now we're back to where we started. 2 aluminum 8.5 gallon fuel tanks. They're right behind these panels here. There's a little tie that we remove, and then we lift these panels out, and we have access to the 2 fuel tanks. We have a sight glass on the right tank, and the fuel gauge on the dash is on the left tank. The tanks are common, so the fuel gauge will read out of both tanks. There's an electric fuel pump on this Kolb that we added as an upgrade. Also, the 912 has a mechanical fuel pump. Most important part, and that's sumping your fuel. You can, in these tanks, you can collect condensate and or moisture and water, and you don't want to get water in your carburetor, especially when you're flying. If your vehicle stops, it's not going to be a big deal, but if your engine stops, it could be less than desirable outcome. So we have a valve just inside here, and we have a drain port right here. I'm going to sump the fuel. Due to the position of the valve, it continues to run just a little bit. So nice clean fuel. There's no water. If you would have water, it would bubble up in the bottom. You could see little bubbles in there. So no water, so we're good to go.